You might be wondering, what are the 9 Enneagram types? So you've heard about the Enneagram, but what in the world does this mean? What are the 9 types? That's what we're gonna cover today. So let's talk about pizza, because who doesn't love pizza? When you make a pizza, if you didn't put the tomato sauce or cheese on the pizza, your pizza is gonna be incomplete. It's not gonna be very good. You need the crust, you need sauce, you need the cheese. I love peppers, onions, tomatoes, spinach, like add all the veggies for me on a pizza with some good meat, and now you have yourself an incredible pizza. When we look at the Enneagram is kind of like a pizza. If you're missing one component, it's actually incomplete. So there are 9 different types, is what we call them, on the Enneagram, 9 different numbers. And I'm gonna go through all of them and explain what they are. But these 9 different types make up the Enneagram. And the cool thing is we mentioned in our last video, some people feel like, I don't wanna be put in a box. I don't want to be labeled a number, and then that's who I am. But here's the thing, just like with a pizza, you need all these different components to make an incredible pizza to eat. That's how the Enneagram works. It's not just one number, and you're not putting yourself in a box and limiting yourself, but actually, when you're healthy, you start to access the different parts of other types, which is making you more whole and complete as a human. And that's the purpose, is to get you out of your box so that you're not living in your stereotype personality type. And so I'm so excited today because I'm going to explain to you what the 9 different types look like. And here's the thing, when you personally identify your Enneagram type, you're going to be the one to decide, because only you can determine what is going on internally. And so we're going to talk about the core motivations of each type, and I'm going to explain the name, and you're going to identify most likely with one primarily. And if you watch this video and you're like, okay, I still have no idea what my type is, I don't actually resonate, that's okay. Just keep learning and educating, and over time you will identify a type. It can take time, and a lot of people want a quick answer, but it doesn't work that way. Just like you have to take time to get to know someone in a relationship, you have to take the time to really get to know yourself. Are you ready? Let's dive straight into the 9 different Enneagram types. So we're actually going to start with type 8, because type 8 is the first type in the gut triad. So there's 3 numbers in the gut triad: the type 8, the type 9, and the type 1. So who's the type 8? The type 8, their name is called the Challenger. This individual has a very strong and dominating personality type. They're the people that are super blunt, and they'll say something like, Callie, I don't think that shirt looks good on you. And I might go cry about it and be like, holy smokes, that was so blunt. But the type 8 just sees that they were being honest and real. They weren't trying to hurt me. They were just speaking their truth. That's who the type 8 is. And the type 8's biggest fear in life, which is their core motivation of what makes up who they are, is they don't want to be seen as weak, they don't want to be harmed, and they don't want to be controlled by others. And so that's why we see this strong exterior, is because they subconsciously are running away from that fear, because they want to be respected, they want to be strong, and they want others to be drawn to them. And so that's where we get the type 8, the Challenger. And in later videos, I'm gonna explain more in depth of what the gut triad means, but just so you know, the 8 is one of the 3 in the gut triad. Okay, let's go to the type 9. The type 9 is called the Peacemaker. Are you a peacemaker? So many of us like to keep peace. The type 9 is called the Peacemaker because they strive to keep peace in every situation. Yes, with people, but also within themselves. They don't want to feel in conflict. You know, like on the movies where there's like a little devil on someone's shoulder and then an angel, and they're listening to the 2 different voices? That's sometimes how the type 9 can feel, is they're in conflict with themselves of what to do, what not to do. Should I talk to this person? Should I not? And this can cause them to feel tension within themselves and that they're not in peace. And so what they do is they strive to keep peace in every single scenario. We often see that type 9s don't have strong opinions. Let me correct that. They do have a strong opinion, but they don't express it all the time with other people. Because if I'm a type 9, which I'm not, but if I was, and you're like, hey, Callie, let's go out to eat. Where do you want to eat? Well, if you're really opinionated, I'm not going to tell you where I actually want to eat because I don't want to have to deal with the drama of you being upset with what I chose. So I'm going to be like, I don't care. Wherever you want to go, we can go. And that's how type 9s function in life at their core, is because they want to keep the peace. So that's what their biggest fear is being in tension, being in conflict, losing harmony or connection with other people. And so that's why they're called the Peacemaker, is because they strive to keep peace in every single scenario. Okay, let's look at the type 1. This is the last one of the gut triad, and the type 1 is called the Perfectionist. Okay, maybe you just perked up and you're like, oh my gosh, this might be me. Perfectionism drives the type 1 because they have an inner critic that's literally telling them what's correct, what's wrong, what needs to be adjusted, both in their life but in also other people's lives. They notice the imperfections because of this inner critic literally in their mind pointing it out. So if you walk in a room and you notice like the pillow is crooked or a picture frame's crooked, or maybe the way someone's talking, it's like that's actually not valid what they're saying. The type 1 cares so highly about excellence and this perfectionism. And so they are going to say something, or it's going to bother them internally. It eats at them, and they're just annoyed or sometimes agitated at what they see in the world. And this is just at their core. This isn't necessarily like all the types. This isn't when we're like super healthy, thriving. This is just kind of our default as humans, who we are. So the type 1, the perfectionist, is going to seek excellence in everything. They're really disciplined. They hold themselves to a very high standard because of this drive for perfection. Okay, let's move into the heart triad. So this is the 2s, 3s, and 4s, meaning we lead with our feelings. And I'm personally a type 3, so this is my triad. So let's look at the type 2. The type 2 is called the helper. Now, of course, we all want to be helpful in life, but this individual lives to be helpful. Their biggest fear is that they're not going to be wanted or loved. And so they feel like they have to help in order to be loved and wanted. And so they seek to be helpful in everything. They like to give advice. They like to show up at their friend's house. They're very hospitable. They do what they can to insert themselves so that they'll be loved, so that they have this validation and a deep connection with people. The helper is often really outgoing, they're very bubbly, and they love life, they love connection with people. They're the ones that can have like 50 friends and it doesn't overwhelm them. So that is the helper. Let's move on to the type 3. The type 3 is called the achiever. They are driven by success and being competent. And this comes from their core fear is being scared that they're not going to be seen as competent. They're not going to be respected, or they're not going to be successful. And that success is whatever that type 3 defines as success. So if you have a type 3 that's a stay-at-home dad, if that's what being successful is to him, he's going to do that to the very best of his ability. If it's a woman being extremely successful in her career, then that's what her focus is going to be, or in multiple areas. 3s have a very high energy and they want to achieve great things because ultimately they want to be valuable. They want to make an impact, but this can get caught up in their ego by feeling like they have to earn their success and that they're only loved by what they do, which is false. So the type 3 is called the achiever. They are ambitious, they like to go after things, and they often can come across as intimidating or push relationships to the side if they get so caught up in what they're chasing. Okay, let's look at the type 4. The type 4 is the last one of the feeling triad, and this one is called the Individualist. So the type 4 has these beautiful emotions, both really high, really low, and their emotions freak themselves out. Like sometimes they struggle to know how to articulate this to other people. And so they often just go inward. They keep it in because it's like, well, I feel super sad, I feel depressed, but I have no idea how to communicate this. And so I'm just gonna keep living my life, or I'm just gonna kind of withdraw, be alone in my room so I can process this. The type 4s lead with their heart. And here's their biggest fear, is they fear that something's wrong with them, that they're actually flawed in life, and that other people can do things that they personally can't, which is far from the truth, but it's the lie that they believe. They often look out at other people and they envy them because they feel like, I can't do what she's doing. I can't have what he has. Why were they gifted with that, but I wasn't? And so they get caught up in this cycle, and that's why they're called the Individualist. Is yes, they like people, but a lot of times they like to be alone in their own emotions, and they like to experience sad emotions, happy emotions, and they're very big on being unique and special. They want to be different than other people. They care about authenticity, and so that's what drives them. Okay, let's get into the last triad. This is called the head triad. So this triad, it means that they lead with their thoughts. So all of us have gut reactions. We all have feelings. We all use our head. But which one do you lead with? That's the question we want to ask. So this is the head triad, which is the type 5, 6, and 7. Let's start with the type 5. This is actually my husband's type. And this individual is called the investigator, or sometimes also the thinker. They are in their head. They love logic. They love to research. They love to learn. And that's what they spend a lot of their time doing, because their core fear is being seen as incompetent, being depleted of energy or resources. And when I say energy, it's literally energy to be with other people. It's energy to talk. It's energy to do the work. It's energy just to show up every day. It takes a lot in them. In fact, type 5s have about this much battery life compared to all of us who have like this much battery life on a daily basis. And so oftentimes people like me, I look at my husband when we first get married and I'm like, why don't you have energy? Like, come on, let's go. But I didn't realize it was a part of who he is, that he has limited resources and energy. And it's not a bad thing. It's actually a strength, because that's why they're so strategic and genius, is because they spend more time alone and in their head and learning, because that's what refuels them. So fascinating. So the type 5, if they fear being depleted of energy and they're not really thriving, this is where they can over-research and get stuck with staying inside alone and shoving people out of this fear, when they are really knowledgeable and they have what it takes to get out there. So there's definitely this balance. But that is the investigator. They want to learn about everything. They love to research, and they want to be competent in what matters most to them. Okay, moving on to the type 6. This is the loyalist. So this individual, their biggest fear is fear itself. They often find themselves thinking through worst case scenario thinking. Meaning they're like, oh my gosh, what if we run out of food? What if someone breaks in our house at night? We have to be prepared for this. Are the kids okay? Wait, we need to pack extra snacks in the car. Every 6 is gonna think through worst case scenario thinking a little bit differently, but their mind defaults to worst case scenario of whatever situation their mind is consumed with. And so with this, they fear being alone or abandoned by other people. And so they're called the loyalist, because they often cling to other people, because they want to have this committee of individuals that supports them, loves them, helps them make decisions, so that if it goes wrong, they're not alone. They're not abandoned. They feel like they need help walking through life with this anxiety. And so that's why they're called the loyalist, is because they're so loyal to other people, because they actually want that in return. Okay, this is the last one out of all 9 types, in the last one of the head triad, the type 7, who is called the enthusiast. This individual probably has the most energy socially in general. They love people, they love adventure and having fun, and they're super energetic, and they will just go and go and go and go and live for the moment of different experiences. And what this comes from is their core fear, which is the fear of being bored, the fear of having to deal with emotional pain or being caught in emotional pain. And so because of this, they often cover up with being super optimistic because they think if I'm busy, if I'm having fun, if I'm going on adventures, then I don't have to sit in this emotional pain, which is far from the truth, right? Because we can handle painful things in life, but still move on and experience the good things of life. And so just like every type, there's a balance with this. But that's where we see the high energy come for the type 7 is think of it like a cup that has a hole in the bottom. They're always trying to fill it up with water, but it just keeps running out. And so that's why they fill their schedule, they fill their time, and they just keep going because they're seeking this form of satisfaction, of fun and adventure, and they're trying to find it in worldly things. But oftentimes this leaves them depleted, not satisfied. And that's the problem of all 9 Enneagram types is when we're operating out of our core fear, it often leads to way more harm than good. And so this is what I'm so excited to teach you guys more about on these videos is to help you know how to apply the Enneagram knowledge in a way that helps you not live in your core fear, but actually stand against it and thrive and know how to actually get that void in your heart filled and complete. Okay, my friends, that is all 9 Enneagram types. If you know your Enneagram type, tell me in the comments of this video, or if you have any questions about the Enneagram, make sure you drop them below because I'm going to spend time going through these comments, answering them, or potentially creating videos about your specific questions. I want to educate you and help you. And if you don't follow me on Instagram, make sure you go over there right now at Callie Ammons and follow me because I post daily content about the Enneagram, and so you can continue your Enneagram journey and level up your life by following me over there. Hit that subscribe button, and thank you so much for hanging out with me and talking about the Enneagram today.